The U.S. national security establishment and the U.S. mainstream press are now flinging the much-dreaded label, traitor, at President Trump. Commenting on one of Trump's press conferences, former CIA Director John Brennan declared, "It was nothing short of treasonous." The New York Times published an op-ed by its columnist Charles Blow entitled, "Trump, Treasonous Traitor." The Boston Globe weighed in with the following title of an op-ed by Globe columnist Michael A. Cohen, "Trump the Traitor. Others are settling for Manchurian Candidate, shameful, indefensible, useful idiot, reckless, and more." I haven't yet heard the term fifth columnist hurled at Trump, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it happen. What has Trump done to incur these infamous appellations? He has committed the cardinal sin of the U.S. national security state. He has demonstrated a firm determination to establish normal and friendly relations with Russia. That's not only a crime under the principles of the national security establishment. It's also heresy. After all, everyone knows that Russia is an enemy of the United States. How do we know this? Well, because we are supposed to know it. No, there isn't an official written decree. Nonetheless, everyone is supposed to know that Russia is our enemy, just as the citizens of Oceania were supposed to know when Eurasia was deemed an official enemy of Oceania in George Orwell's novel 1984. Thus, it stands to reason, any president who befriends Russia or any other official enemy of the U.S. national security establishment is considered a traitor at worst and suspect at best. As I indicated in 3 recent articles, the deep state went after JFK on Russia too. Was Reagan a traitor too? And 3 other presidents targeted for befriending Russia. Trump isn't the first president to incur the wrath of the U.S. national security establishment for befriending Russia. They also targeted 2 U.S. presidents, John F. Kennedy and Ronald Reagan, and at least 3 foreign presidents, Jacobo Arbenz, Fidel Castro, and Salvador Allende, for committing the crime of befriending Russia or the Soviet Union. Let me share with you a fascinating story about John F. Kennedy's treason that came up after his assassination. For those of you who have read my book The Kennedy Autopsy and are currently viewing my new video podcast series, The National Security State's Assassination of John F. Kennedy, you are familiar with what happened at Dallas's Parkland Hospital immediately after the president was declared dead. Earl Rose, the Dallas County medical examiner, was going to conduct an autopsy on President Kennedy's body. Rose was one of the most renowned forensics pathologists in the country. Suddenly, a team of armed Secret Service agents informed Rose in no uncertain terms that they were not going to permit him to conduct the autopsy. When Rose stood his ground and reminded the agents that Texas law required the autopsy, they pulled back their coat pockets to brandish their guns, implicitly informing Rose and anyone else that they were prepared to kill anyone who got in their way. Saying that they were operating under orders and screaming, yelling, and issuing a stream of profanities, they forced their way out of Parkland with the body, which they then transported to Dallas Love Field where new President Lyndon Johnson was patiently waiting for it. Within an hour or so of the president's death, 2 of the treating physicians, Dr. Clark Kemp and Dr. Malcolm Perry, held a press conference, where they announced that President Kennedy had a small bullet-sized entry wound in the front of his neck and a large exit-sized wound in the lower back of his head. This was obviously inconsistent with what would become the lone nut theory of the assassination, which posited a shooter in the rear of the president. Meanwhile, Johnson was transporting the body in Air Force One to Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland, where he delivered it into the hands of the U.S. military, which conducted the autopsy at the morgue at Bethesda National Naval Medical Center on the evening of the assassination. 30 years after the assassination, Nurse Audrey Bell, who was in the Parkland Hospital trauma room where Kennedy was being treated, was interviewed by the Assassination Records Review Board. Bell told the ARRB that on the morning of November 23, she saw Dr. Perry and told him that he looked exhausted. Perry told her that he had received calls all night from Bethesda pressuring him to change his mind about the throat wound. In 1977, the House Select Committee on Assassinations, which was re-investigating the Kennedy assassination, conducted an interview of a man named James Goshenor. The complete interview can be found here. Goshenor related a conversation in 1970 that he had had with a Secret Service agent named Elmer Moore. Here is the pertinent part of the interview. Goshenor: okay, what he told me was this. He said he had badgered Dr. Perry into changing his testimony. He did not feel good about that. Gilbert: he being Moore? Goshenor: yes, Moore talked to Perry and, I guess, really laid it on the poor guy. Gilbert: in what respect? What areas did he badger Perry with respect to? Goshenor: what Perry had seen, as he was doing his emergency operation, apparently. Gilbert: well, in what ways did he indicate to you that he had Perry distort the truth? Goshenor: I think that what he was trying to say was him to making a flat statement that there was no entry wound in the neck. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Gilbert: well, did he indicate to you in any way, or can you recollect as best you can, the exact words or substance that he used with respect to what he did to Perry? Goshenor: apparently, well, he said that he had come back from San Francisco the day after the assassination. He went to Washington first. From Washington, he got some marching orders to go down and talk with the doctors at Parkland Hospital. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Gilbert: okay. Now what did your conversation with him pertain to? Goshenor: basically, him venting his anger at Kennedy, and Gilbert: what was his anger based on? Did he say? Goshenor: well, he said he was a traitor. Gilbert: he said Kennedy was a traitor. Goshenor: yeah? Gilbert: this is what Elmer Moore said? Goshenor: right. Gilbert: now, why he say, sick, how did he explain that, what did he mean? Goshenor: well, he prefaced it by saying that, well, he said, you know, no matter how strange things get here, we've got it better than they do, but he was giving everything away to the, that's what he was saying. Gilbert: he was saying Kennedy was giving things away. Goshenor: yeah, to the Russians, okay. Gilbert: all right. Goshenor: and, then he went on to say that, well, one of the things that was pretty impressive to me was the fact that when I was talking with him, he said that, we had to do what we were told, in regards to, you know, the way they were investigating the assassination, or we'd get our heads cut off. What every American should keep in mind is that from the day in the late 1940s that the federal government was converted from a limited government republic to a national security state, Russia has been considered an official enemy of the United States. Most U.S. presidents have accepted that and embraced it, just as Hillary Clinton would have. Doing his best to normalize relations with Russia, President Trump, like Presidents Kennedy, Reagan, Arbenz, Castro, and Allende, has now violated the core principle of the U.S. national security state. Heaven help him if he doesn't conform. For more information, see The Kennedy Autopsy by Jacob Hornberger, JFK's War with the National Security Establishment, Why Kennedy Was Assassinated by Douglas Horne, Regime Change, The Kennedy Assassination by Jacob Hornberger, The CIA, Terrorism, and the Cold War, The Evil of the National Security State by Jacob Hornberger, CIA.